Hello, my friend, and welcome in this new video where I'll be talking about how to generate your curriculum vitae, your CV. Lately, I had to update my own CV, and I wanted to do that. Well, to put it simply, I don't really like working with Word and writing documents with either Microsoft Office or even LibreOffice directly. When you have a programming-oriented mind, that feels like it's not the appropriate way to do things. I don't know. I prefer when you can write things with a structure. So for instance, I like writing LaTeX documents. These are extremely complex to write, maybe overly complex actually, but at least you can build something with a structure, import files, build for loops, if conditions, stuff like that. So that's the way I usually work in my mind. And so, yeah, to put it simply, I wanted to find a way to generate my CV without writing pure text documents. And I think I could start with showing you what is the kind of result that I can achieve now. So this is the current short version of my CV, and everything we have here was actually generated programmatically, and I didn't even have to open LibreOffice or of Microsoft Office itself to write any of this. It's completely written from Python. And as you can see, the structure is pretty clean, so no problem here, and you can still write exactly things as you want, so it's really cool from my perspective. Thing is, here what I'm showing is a PDF. I'm not actually generating the PDF directly. I'm rather generating the ODT file first. And by the way, what we have here is the initial CV that I use as a guide or a template, because that's the version I had before where I have everything reported, but this one is actually generated from LaTeX. So the new version that I have is a bit simpler. We have less of those details, but it's going to be way more easy to maintain from now on. LaTeX was good, but I guess that's not really what people want to see or use nowadays. So not very easy to stay compatible with your work environment if you try distributing LaTeX documents. Yeah, you might not be accepted everywhere very easily. Anyway, so that was the initial document, yes. And as I said, the file I'm actually generated from Python is this ODT file. And well, I had another version here because I have a long version of my CV, but that's not really a concern here. And if we try to open this ODT file, is this working if I drag and drop? Yes. You have the same content as the PDF, but it's also displaying the complete structure because everything is built with tables, images, and you have those gray lines everywhere showing where are the limits of all the cells and everything that you have been writing. Okay, now that's the end result. Now, before we explain how to generate all of this, I would like to get a bit back and try to explain first what is not working. So let's go into the project where we have all this implemented. Currently, I'm storing this in the NervProj project. So we have the MVP folder as usual, and I think that's in the admin folder, where I now have a dedicated CV builder component. So the one that I'm currently using is this one, the CV builder, and this one is going to build my CV. I will get back to the command that we use to do the generation of the CV in a moment. But first, let's talk about the previous experiments, because when I was starting, I thought I could maybe try to use a package that we have available in Python, which is Python docx, and this package you can use to generate a docx file. Wrong. I spent quite some time on this one actually, and so you just need to install this package with pip in your environment, and here is the first version of the builders that I built with that. So it's a usual standard MVP component, and we have a command here which is a build command, which is going to read your CV description from a YAML file, and it's just going to build that. We will get back to the YAML file a bit later, because anyways this part did not change, and that's still what I'm using now with the final version of the CV builder to do the generation of the CV. But let's just have a look at this build function. So at first I was trying to generate a docx file and also trying to generate the PDF file at the same time, because from Python you have a package that will allow you to convert docx to PDF. What's the name of this one? So it's providing the convert function. I think it's simply docx to PDF. Yes, docx to PDF, and we'll probably still have that as a comment in the configuration file. So CV environment, yes. So this is the part that I updated lately, but first I was trying with those two packages, Python docx and docx to PDF. Okay, so let's get back to... No, come on. To this initial attempt using docx and the build function. So the idea here was simply you start to build a document. So when you use docx, you start with the document object, and then you would build the content you want in there, and you would save this document as a docx file, and then you use the convert function to convert docx to PDF. So you get both files, so that's normally good. But yeah, in build content, to put it simply, I had quite a lot of trouble to get this docx package to do what I wanted to achieve in my document, and in the end I just gave up, because the documentation itself that you have for this package is what you have here in the Python docx read the docs IO. You have a user manual with description of what the API is going to look like for different classes. Or you have the document class. You can add a paragraph, for instance. Documentation is not that bad, but it was still lacking, I don't know, kind of more examples of what you can do, why it's working this way. I guess it makes sense if you think about it, because docx is not really fully open as a format. It's a simple XML format in the end, but yeah, you don't have very clear documentation on that. I mean, I could not really find something, at least. Maybe I could have been looking for documentation a bit harder, I guess, but I was trying to work with what we have described here, and nah, that didn't really work for me. the documents I was generating, I was spending a lot of time trying to fix very small detail, like how do you control the position of the cell, the background color, the font. Policies in French, sorry. The font that you want to use. It was tricky. And in fact, I spent quite a lot of time also because I had a specific issue that I wanted to try to fix. I don't know if I don't remember if we have an example. Not working here, this section. Set style font file. So one thing you can see, for instance, if you're given a style object, you could access the XML element from that. Then you could call get or add RPR, which is kind of an obscure function name. Find first child found in. Not really a very nice naming convention from my perspective, and you have a lot of situation like that where it's a bit confusing, the naming and how you're supposed to do things. Can I try to find? Yeah, you have a lot of those functions, get or add something, tc, whatever. And the documentation for that. These are XML elements that you have in sub-elements for everything, but it's not really clear. I still don't know what this means. TCW. I don't know. I guess if you spend a lot of time on it, you can anyway start manipulating the XML schema and structure of what you're building directly, and that will not matter, and you could build whatever you want if you know exactly what you want to put in there. But at that time I was not really familiar with that, so it was definitely not working for me. And as I said, what I was trying to do mainly was to try to figure out how you can embed a font in a docx document. And I have tried about everything I could think about, and even things that I was not thinking about initially. I used ChatGPT, search everywhere, and the end result is no way, you can't. It's not working. From my current understanding of things, of course, you can always push it further, and maybe if you push it further, you will find a way. But I think I've pushed that pretty far already, and no, I can't find a way to embed a font properly. Everything that is commented here, I mean, not directly, this was a lot of trials, and but I probably have things related to font embedding. No, not anymore, not here. Anyway, I eventually got completely desperate to make this work and to be able to build a CV with a decent level of effort with this package, Python docx. So I gave up and I tried to find another option, and that's when I discovered this other package, which is ODFpy. So you have it here, and ODFpy is actually a package similar to the Python docx, but to allow you to generate open documents, so LibreOffice open documents directly in Python. So you can write text document, but you could also generate XML tables, or I guess PowerPoint presentations. I mean, the open version of it, I don't know what the name. It's LibreOffice Impress. I'm never really using that anyway. But yeah, you can probably write most of those documents that are part of the LibreOffice software software environment, let's say. So yeah, for this one, you actually don't really have more than the actual GitHub repository itself. Everything you will find concerning documentation is, I think it's right here. I don't know where I found that. Or maybe there was no document. Oh, doc. So this is just a class description, so describing different classes that you have. I don't think that it's very in the actually I have this actually forked this project, so I have it here, ODFpy, and if you go in doc, I've done that before, so I remember it was not very useful. Well, let's do it again anyway. So yeah, basic class index, class definition, element. If you go in element, okay, you have a few function definitions, but no real tutorial or explanation of how you're supposed to use everything here. Anyway, the ODFpy library is really just trying to provide higher level layer on top of the XML structure of the open document file. So it's not really enforcing anything, or so you're manipulating XML less directly, but more conveniently, because you have a few functions that are more handy to use. And at first it may look a bit intimidating like that, but when you start using it, this is what I did actually in the V1 implementation here. Yes, we start to have some of those ODF imports. When you start using that, it's pretty clean and easy to use in the end. So I have this builder here, which was trying to do the same thing as in the previous version. And so you see that we still have this build command. We're going to read the YAML file and just go through a build function, except that this time you're going to use ODF function. So it's open document text, and right die XML. What was this one? Yeah, I was trying some kind of pretty advanced nasty hacking into this library in the end, because when I moved to this other library, I was still contemplating the idea of trying to embed fonts into my ODT files. In fact, if you look for information on that on the internet, you will find that it's supposed to be supported, and you can indeed. I've tried that from. Let's try from this one, for instance. This is my document, and if I, let's just maybe get back to the folder where we have it. Data CV. So we have the file here, and you see it's already 2.7 megabyte. And if you just go in your file and you say properties, it's font here, incorporating the font in the document. So if you check this one, the second one here is incorporating only the font that are used in the document. But you could just try to incorporate everything here. If you just click open and you save your file, boom. And now if you go and you see, this file is much bigger because it's actually incorporating the fonts now in this file. Which made me think of another thing that is probably worth mentioning here. Maybe you don't know this yet, but this ODT file, and it's the same thing actually for the docx file, they are in fact just simple zip file. So you can try to unzip those files. If you try to read it as is, it's unreadable, it's a binary file, but you actually just have XML files in this zip package. So what I was doing initially was to just use this file and rename that to zip. Well, now it's currently in use, of course, so it's not going to work. Sorry about that. Let's just close it here. I was renaming this to zip, as I said, and then I was requesting the unzipping of this into a dedicated folder. But what I found in the end was that you don't even need to rename that to zip, because 7-zip can accept anything as input, so you can just do it directly 7-zip and extract, and this will unzip this file, and in there you will find that you have different XML files. The most important ones, by the way, are the content XML. That's where you have your actual content defined, and the styles, because that's where you define everything concerning your styles, the styles that you want to use in the document. But you may also have additional files embedded into your document, and for instance, I have different pictures. This one is a big one because I'm not really processing it the correct way. This is my the picture of myself on my CV. Everything else are small font and awesome images generated from different icons from Font Awesome. So we'll get back to that anyway, probably, yeah. But what I wanted to say is, in this file now, I also have those fonts that are embedded, and which means that technically there is some kind of font embedding process going on. And I have been investigating this pretty intensively also, and in fact, if I go in the location where I have this file extracted, so no, not here. Yeah, it's NervProj in my case, okay. My CV is here, so my new CV. If I go here, I can, for instance, show you where all of this is taken care of. I think, if I sort of remember. Yes, so as I said, content is your main document content. It's a giant single line XML file, so unusable and uneditable in this state. But what you can do, if I try to say that, okay, if I try to say that, it's going to format this document, and from there you can start at least try to read a little bit what's in there. So you will see that you have table cells, style name, text and paragraphs and whatever, and you can relatively easily build an understanding of all of this. But that's not the point here. As I said, we also have the styles where you have the list of user provided styles defined. So I have quite a few of them for this CV generation process. But concerning the font themselves, you have the font file here. And in fact, you have in the meta, in the manifest, which is going to link all those font files and declare that they are available in your document, as far as I understand at least. And for instance, if you take just this one, so you just declare, okay, there is this font in this file. I am embedding this right now. And this file name, you're going to find that again in, I think no, not in style, it's in content directly. In content directly, yes, at start you have this font face declaration, and you will find that, okay, you have the font face Calibri that I'm embedding in this file. So for the source, you will need to access this TTF file by decompressing the file and everything. This one will be applicable when your font style is normal and the font weight is normal also, but you also have the version 2 when you want to display the bold version. Then you have the italic or italic bold, so you have 4 files separated like that, all of them related to the Calibri font. And then you could start using the Calibri font. Probably have access to that. Oh no, not even. I don't know why it's embedding this one here. Is this one here actually? Which one could I be using? It's interesting because it's embedding a lot of fonts that I'm completely not using here. I don't think I'm ever, or maybe Verdana I'm using. No, it doesn't seem to be the case. Okay, so not sure why, but the final point is I tried to do exactly all of those steps. So I processed this way. In fact, I generated ODT file. I requested LibreOffice to embed the fonts. I got this as a template, and then I use this template to generate all the XML that you need to simulate doing exactly all this. So I was embedding my fonts myself manually, and I think I definitely have an example. I mean, the corresponding code left in there. Let's get back. So CV builder version 1. This was part of it already, or not quite. Modify content. No, not really. I think it's a bit below that. Yes, preparing, adding our custom font. So I was trying to get access to this manifest XML file, and I was adding stuff in there. I don't think this part was really working. It was an initial attempt. What did I do then to actually do the embedding? I think I discovered something very special, and it was to use the extra element. Yes, the one. Because I was actually trying to read the sources that you have for ODFpy, and if you go into your document class definition, you will find that there is this extra field in your open document, and this extra is going to be used to write your XML document signature. No, it's not here. Manifest add the element. Yes, that's it. File entry with the file name that you provide and the media type, and it's going to write data associated to this extra. I don't quite remember the details, but okay, that's probably where I was looking initially. That's for the reading part when you're trying to load the XML part, so trying to load the data from the manifest XML. It's very hot here. Let me try to get some fresh air. Okay, so I was following that and assuming that if I was trying to build those opaque object myself, I could get somewhere. So that's what I did. I was trying to build an opaque object. You would just define what you want to have for your font name internally to your document file, and you provide the data, the actual font data. So I was reading a completely different font here, but this one is outside of your document file. So you read the data and you ask to add that to the extra, and then when you save your document file, it's going to write the actual font file inside the document and update the manifest accordingly. So this was actually working fine. And then you could maybe consider trying to use this font elsewhere. But no, that didn't work. No. I tried everything I could think about. First I was trying to embed the font awesome font. That didn't work. Then I was trying to embed this one, which is another, simpler font. Didn't work either. Then I was trying even to save the file first in LibreOffice and then try to hack into that, pretending that I'm replacing one of those existing files, like Sense. I don't know which one we have. I think I've seen the name of the one I tried. Yeah, Liberation Serif. I don't know if it was the one I tried to replace. I don't quite remember. But no, I could not get this to work. So I was feeling a bit desperate because the full idea at start was really to be able to embed font awesome, because I didn't want to have to install that on all the system where I want to build my CVs, and I still wanted to be able to use the icons from this library when I build my CV. So if I was able to embed that as a regular font file, that would have made everything very easy then, because you could then generate simple text and use the font Unicode IDs. That would normally have worked. But yeah, that's not how life is working, I guess. What else? Yes, this hack containing the styles XML was because in the system that I was implementing, at some point we define the font declaration. Where do we have that? Font face declaration here. So I'm probably adding my font face somewhere. Add element. Yeah, this was the idea. I was trying to add the font face, and because I had seen before that, yeah, you had this font face declaration in the font face declaration element here in the content. But in fact, you also have this one in the styles. Except that if you pay attention to it, here you see you have this element containing a font face for category, and then you have the definition of the font face source and many elements in there. But if you go in the style and you try to, where are you? Okay, font face declaration, it's here. You will find again a font face for category, but nothing more. And the point here is in the Python ODFpy package, currently, if you try to save a file where you added those font face declaration, it's going to save the same content both in the content XML and the styles XML. So that's why I was trying to, in a desperate effort to get this to work, I was trying to hack into the system to try to ensure that when I write those font face declaration in the styles file, I'm just not writing all the content concerning the font face source. So this was the hack when it was applied. I was just going to go through all those font face declaration, retrieve only the name, and just rebuild the font face, but providing your local attribute, but not going into the sub children for this element. And this would be what you would save as an XML element. Again, when doing that, the styles.xml file was saved just as expected, and I could get exactly what we have visible here. So the font face declaration with only the font face element and nothing more in the styles, and the full access to the files in the content XML. But still, when you would then try to open this document in LibreOffice, it would just ignore this embedded font. And if I was to use a stroke font, for instance, it would just replace that with one of the fonts that I had installed on my computer. So, no, I don't know why it was not really using those embedded fonts. So yeah, I spent a lot of time on that, but eventually I had to give up also. With this ODFpy package, I could also not really embed and use the fonts as I wanted to do it. So it was then time to move to the next iteration and try to find another solution. In fact, I was already considering another solution at this level because I think I've seen the function of interest at the beginning. Yes, convert icon to image, because that would be a last resort way of doing what I wanted to do. I wanted to embed those icons from Font Awesome into the document at the end. So if I could not just embed that as a regular font, I could still try to find another way to load this font and convert that into the images that I want for the different icons. And this is exactly what we do here. We try to load the font glyphs. So for a given icon here, and I'm going then to use Pillow to write this text, or just this single icon in this case, into an image, and then I would just be able to save this image into the document and process that as any kind of regular image, in fact. So this is in fact what we are now using in the CV Builder implementation. Giving up on the integration of different fonts, the embedding process of different fonts, and just relying on the image generation for Font Awesome to integrate that in the files. And now I see that all of this are not needed, so let's remove that. But then, yeah, when I was working on this third iteration, I could finally really move forward and try to build my CV as I wanted to, which meant that this file actually started to become pretty big, and that's why I decided to cut that into pieces in the end. So I have actually implemented a base class, so the CV Builder class base, which is itself a MVP component. So if we go in there, you have it in the same folder, and this has provided a lot of helper functions that I'm using then in the actual CV Builder implementation. So you will find again this convert icon to image helper function here, but you have a lot of additional stuff going on, like a lot of function to help you define the styles, because that's something you have to do all over the place. In fact, in ODFpy, every time you want to change a bit how an element is going to be displayed, you have to create a new style for it. I actually find this a bit, I don't know, overwhelming. If you were comparing that to HTML and CSS, for instance, you can still assign a style with CSS, but then for each element in your HTML code, you could still provide a simple style attribute and override something from your CSS very easily. But here, not quite. You really have to create a new style, or at least I could not find a way to do it differently. I was trying to look for a way, but no, nothing. So yeah, I am building a lot of different styles, even for very minor changes. You can still have some inheritance in your styles, but the child style, you still have to build a dedicated object for it. You could build that online and then assign the style to your element, but yeah, you're just building that anyway. So the way I tried to do it myself was to build all the styles in a dedicated function, because again, this was a part that was also taking a very large part of the code. So it's not even here in the base class. I have a dedicated helper file, which is this style. And this one is only defining this function, define CV styles, and in there you have all the styles that I'm using in the CV construction. And you are going to call that, I believe, somewhere at the beginning of the build. So when you start building, you open the document and then you build all the styles. So I was adding more and more styles progressively in there. What else did I need to mention on the base class? So you have many functions to control the construction of the different styles. You can control how you manipulate colors, because when you want to specify an RGB color, for instance, you can't really do that. The only accepted format is X color reporting. So you need to convert RGB to X. Then we had a helper function to add a table, a row, a paragraph, or an icon here more indirectly. So it's going to add an image or your brand icon, in fact, which is coming also from Font Awesome, sorry. And yes, that's it. Then additional helper function also to control the display of the month and the duration of your missions. And then on top of that, we have the actual CV class itself, which is going to use those base functions to actually perform the construction of the CV, which is built as a giant table with 2 columns. Sorry. And yeah, we are just adding multiple rows one by one to define what we want to have. So we start with the information row, then we write everything concerning the work experience, the personal project, education, section. So currently it's not containing much. It's just I mean, for me, I was also thinking to add the training information in there, but it's not done yet. I will have to extend this part. Then we have additional skills and interest, and all of this are coming now from a single YAML file. So if I go, wait a second. Yes, so it's yeah, this one, manu YAML. So this is my actual CV content. This is the only file that I need to modify now if I want to change whatever I want in my CV. So you have different entries. Yeah, just simple information entries at the beginning. This is defining what is the file that the file name that you want to use to save your ODT file, and then yeah, additional skills here, simple mapping, personal interest, same thing. Education, you start to have some kind of array of object here, and then for work experience you have more complex structure, because you have an array of employer, and then for each employer you have a missions array with a definition for every single mission that you did as part of this position. So that's where you can add more elements, and you still provide every time what was your position, what was a kind of description for this position, or an overview, and the different text that you were using. So what you have here is basically just what we're displaying for a single mission entry. So if we go here at the first one, for instance, it's a spot. Well, not really the title part, but you have, for instance, the Python, PyQt5, all these are the text. This is the overview part. So those elements here. In the version that you see here, I'm not displaying the description part. This is the mechanism that I use to define if I wanted to generate a short CV or a long CV with more description on every different mission. So the short one is going to use the overview entry, while the long one is going to use a description entry. So you're not displaying both of them at the same time. And this is it. That way I could build a different mission that I have done in my career. And you have something similar. So this was a previous employer. And then you have a similar structure for this personal project entry, where you can define what you did as personal project. I don't know if this is really applicable to everyone, but it works for me, so that's why I built the CV builder this way. So again, you can either display the description or the overview, and I think this is the last section, yes, in this file. The good thing is the order that you have for different entries here in the configuration doesn't really matter for the formatting, because I'm still going to display the work experience first and then continue with the personal project, and then move to the education and training, other skills and interest. Maybe just to show you the difference, so this is the short version. To generate this file, let me just show you. I'll go back here. I can just delete this folder, we don't really need that. So the CV here we have, if we just delete those files, I can just start using, well, I could do it from here, but it's also working if I start a command line here, and I could do MVP. I think the command that I'm using is build my CV, and if I don't specify anything else, it's building this menu CV ODD. And no, not Word. Oh yeah, in Word it's going to look like garbage. Something yeah, I might mention it. So you don't want to open that in Word. If you just open it here again. So this is actually the long version, because now it's using the full description for each mission, so more entries in there. In fact, it's also reducing a bit the size of the left column and using a slightly smaller font size, I believe. Yeah, 7.5, and I think it's 8 otherwise. But apart from that, the structure is going to be the same. And you just have a bit more details for all the mission that I said. So more pages for me in this case, so 7 pages. And from that point, you can just go into the export option and you can just write the corresponding PDF. So let's just call that CV menu again. I mean menu CV. And here you go. So you have your 7 pages. And so that's how we generate the long version. And to generate the short version, just close that. I just need to use the same function, and I just provide -s. So back to the file now. Then you have the shorter version here and only 4 pages. But again, you can export that to PDF, and this was the initial PDF that I have shown you, so no need to do it again. What we should conclude with now is maybe simply have a look at the comments that are available to run this the comments here. So build my CV. So this is available in NervProj, and we have in the config build. Yes, so I have 2 versions of it. Build CV, which is a generic one. If you wanted to use that, you would just call MVP build CV, and in the folder where you are, you would specify what is the input. You need a -i, I believe. Yes. -i, and I have a file called vitae.yaml. And that will do the same thing as before. It's going to generate my CV, but I have the other version, for instance, which is initial one here. I don't know what this one contain exactly. It should be a bit smaller because it was a previous version. I don't know. Education. Yeah, we don't have the. I mean, that might crash. Actually, it's not complete. The code for the CV builder is currently really expecting to find this other skills. How did I call that? It's not other skill. It's additional skills. Yes, additional skills and personal interest. And in this first version, we don't have those entries at all. So probably it's going to crash. Let's just give it a try anyway. But I could do just this one. Yeah, languages also is missing. So you get the idea anyway. If you have a valid full YAML configuration for the CV, you can specify different files here at this level. But then I didn't want to spend my time specifying manual YAML, so I added this additional specific command, which is going to provide that as input directly. And just to be clear, this build command, this is coming from the fact that the CV builder here, you have this main section when you execute this CV builder script, and you define this build parser, and you can specify 2 different elements: the input file or the short flag, and that's it. Then you're going to get back to the build function that you have. I think it's defined directly in the base class, right? Or is it not? So where do we have build, for instance? Yes, process CMD path. Okay, and so yeah, this is it. Pretty long recording at the end, but I think, yeah, this could be very useful for someone that would like to generate a CV and you don't really want to spend too much time on the structure of your document, and you want to be able to easily add content progressively, or even generate a completely different CV at some point. If you were to do that directly in LibreOffice, I would take some time to do all the formatting and to try to stay consistent everywhere. that would be a real pain, I believe. So yes, for my part, I think I'm definitely going to stick to this approach, and I'm going to push it a bit further. Next thing that I would like to do would be to add a following section. I don't know exactly if that would be really part of the CV itself, but some kind of definition of all the skills that you may want to report, and to structure a bit like what we have. I mean, what I had in my initial CV. You know, the left columns where you have progress bar for all the skills that I think are worth mentioning, and where you can get an idea of what kind of level you have for those skills. So I need to find a way to report that on the CV. And also, if I keep in this direction, I could also add another final page with a cover letter, which you could define directly in the config file, and that would be then added at the end of the CV during the generation process. So then you would just need to stick to updating your YAML file whenever you want to update your CV or change your cover letter or whatever. So that's going to simplify a bit the CV generation process for those of you that are interested. So yeah, this is it. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, let me know. And I say that's all I have to say. So see you another time, and have a nice time. Bye bye.